Welcome to another episode of the Poker Vlog. My name is Kieran, and this is Close to Broke. Today we are playing the Monster Stack Day 1B. We played the Day 1A, it didn't work out, we busted immediately. But that's not why you're here. You're here to watch a deep run in poker. My goal is to bring you just that. This is a 5 freaking day event. Hour levels, 50k starting stack. We have heaps to get going. Entering at level 3 should be a good time. Welcome back to another episode of the World Series of Poker tournament vlog action. It seems like quite a bit of you enjoyed it. We're here to spruce things up, do a couple of things a little bit different. We're starting off here playing the $1,500 Monster Stack, 50k starting stack, 1 hour levels. This is going to be a really good tournament structure that lasts 5 or 6 days long. It's kind of ridiculous. Anyways, in this very first hand, early position decides to make it 1k. Middle position calls, the cutoff calls, and I'm in the big blind and we look down at Jack 8 offsuit. Probably not great to defend this many ways with a hand that's going to be hard to make the nuts, but we end up defending anyways. You know, we should be okay. The flop comes 9, 8, deuce with 2 diamonds and a club. The action checks to the cutoff player here, who decides to bet 3k. Again, we've late reg, so the 400 big blind level is what's going on right now. And we're starting around a 50k starting stack, so we're playing fairly deep. I decide to make the call, which I don't really like it in hindsight. I feel like even at the table I was thinking about it. With this many players stacked behind me, it's probably just safest to just throw it in the muck. There's a flush draw out there, a straight draw out there, and I have none of those. We do make the call, and we do go to a pretty bad turn card that comes at 10 of diamonds. Sure, it gives us an open ender, but the flush does complete. When I check it over to my opponent, it ends up checking through, which makes it feel like my opponent has some sort of showdown value. We're going off to a river card that comes at 5 of diamonds. Now that there is 4 diamonds out there, this is not very exciting. But when my opponent decides to check the turn, it makes me feel like I'm going to have a couple more flushes in my range. Honestly, it's hard to tell. I will have all the suited, diamonds in my range. I feel like in the big blind, I'll be calling all suited cards that contain diamonds. After a bit of thinking, I decide to turn my second pair into a bluff. I make it 3,500. This is kind of a small, a small bet, I think. After a little bit of thinking, my opponent ends up making the call. And the reason I hate my bluff is I think I have a little too much showdown value to bet. Although, again, it's not very likely that I'm ever going to have the winner here. Just for the off 10% chance that I do, it just doesn't make sense. It's better to check and evaluate than to lead for such a small sizing. Either way, we end up losing that first hand, hoping to really battle back. In this following hand, things are looking a little better. The low jack makes it $900 at the 400 big blind ante level, and our starting stack for this hand is around 45k. We look down at pocket jacks here, looking to really turn things around. I'm on the button, and I decided 3-bet to 2.5k. Don't need to go as big as 3x here. You can, but I'm in position, so I don't mind letting my opponent, make the call here, especially since I'm, like I said, in position. He does make that call, and we're going off to a flop that comes ace, ace, 5, rainbow. With the action checked over to me, it's really nice to protect my range and to check this back. Sure, I can bet here sometimes, maybe with king highs, but I feel like, having some showdown value, I'll sometimes check king high back as well. Seems like a good play. I check it back. We're going to a turn card that comes in 3 of clubs. Full rainbow out there. Really nice for us. The action checks over to me. Once again, just trying to get my pair to showdown or allow my opponent to bluff. The river comes with 7 of diamonds, and at this point, finally, there's some betting. My opponent decides to make it $2,000. And considering how slowly we've played this hand, and the opponent thinks that maybe I'm playing loose, I just wanted to make sure that I can allow him to bluff at some point in the hand. So everything has gone to plan here. I end up making the pretty quick call. My opponent shows queen high. And like I said, we would have not got any bit of value if we bet at any point here. I think by checking down the river, it worked out for our favor. Moving along here, looking to bring my best version of poker. To be honest, there hasn't been very many swings in either direction to this point. We're currently playing at the 500 big blind level, which is level 4. And we find ourselves in the low jack with ace deuce offsuit, and I go ahead and make the raise. Probably not good to have this in your range, even in tournaments, but my table is definitely, not full of a bunch of pros. This is not a 250k high roller, so why not mix things up? Make it $1,200 to go. Only the small blind makes a call, and we're going off to a flop that comes jack 7 for rainbow. With the action checked over to me, this is probably going to be a board that favors his range. He's going to have a bunch of middling pairs that do connect with sets here, but again, whatever, we're gonna bet because that seems okay. I make it 1,000 to go. He makes the call. The turn card once again comes an interesting card as it comes the 8 of spades. Does introduce a backdoor flush draw, and I guess we can, credit, both of our ranges for having 10-9 here. A little less likely for him. Anyways, when he checks over to me, I decide to bet once again for 2,500 chips, and he pretty quickly decides to make the call, hoping to see something on the river that can either scare him if he has a big hand or, maybe an ace, and we check it back. And the river is none of that, as it comes to 9 of spades. Super, super, super scary card for him. I'd like to think that it's be really hard for him to hold on these many streets with Jack 10. And even then, if he did, that's like only one hand. For the most part, we can see him have a couple of different 2-pair combinations and maybe even some sets. But with this specific run out, it's going to be really hard to call a big bet. With the action checked over to me, I didn't get to this point to give up, so I'm going to put my big boy pants on and go for gusto. I make it 12,000 chips, a massive bet here, going nearly the size of the pot, and my opponent snap folds. Luckily for us, there's no sweat, and our ridiculous play gets awarded. Like I said, it's nice to put some pressure on if the story kind of makes sense, and I think for us, it was fairly credible for us to contain a 10, or at least backdoor spades, ace king of spades, ace queen of spades, ace jack of spades. There's so many different spade combinations that exist, so either way, we're pretty happy with the way things turned out. One of my favorite things in poker tournaments is momentum. Maybe it exists also in cash games, but it just feels like it totally exists in specifically tournaments. I don't know, let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Maybe I'm an idiot, but I just feel like it is true, specifically in tournaments. When somebody's running hot or somebody's playing really well, they usually keep to stay on that train. If they get a bad beat and they start, going crazy haywire, they kind of end up busting fairly shortly after, it feels like. Anyways, in this next hand, early position makes it 1,200 chips. The cutoff makes it 2,600 chips. And we look down at ace queen here from the small blind. I feel like 4-betting would be ridiculous. Cold calling a 3-bet out of position also seems stupid. I just make the call here. Early position calls as well. The 3-bet was so small that I don't mind just making the call here. We're going off to a flop that comes 8-8-3 rainbow. When the action checks through, I know immediately that my opponent in position has to have a hand like ace king, maybe ace queen. And if that's the case, any card that does not bring an ace, I know I'm going to bet as a bluff. Even though that's not regular, there's no theory that says that you should do that. This is where exploitative play, understanding bet sizing and betting tells, and, kind of that live poker atmosphere really shines through. The turn card comes a really interesting one, as it comes the ace of diamonds. At this point, when it checks over to the initial raiser, he decides to delay c-bet for 3,100. I feel like folding would be really stupid, but I'm really worried here that he has ace king. I make the call, the other player folds, and we're going to a river that comes a 7 of clubs. I'm going to tell you guys a little secret, believe me or not, because it's going to be hard to believe this, but if I checked to my opponent and he bet any amount of chips, I was going to snap fold face up, because I was so positive about my live tell at this point. But I check it over to my opponent, and luckily he doesn't even put us to the test. He checks it back. We don't even have to shorthand, as he pretty quickly churns over ace king of spades. I was never calling the river. I had a really solid live tell that I'm happy. I was trusting. I promise you that. I was trusting my live read, and yeah, happy we didn't have to get put to the test, though. I'll just say that. Like I said in the last hand, there's going to be a bunch of live tells that I'm going to go with in this spots. Whether the theory backs it, I could give two shits. When I have a live tell, if I have a live read, I'm really going to go with it. Anyways, in this next hand, early position raises to 2.5k at the 1k big blind level. We're playing somewhere in the neighborhood of, let's say, 60k in our stack, so about 60 big blinds. I'm in the big blind. We look down at king 7 offsuit. I'm going to go ahead and make the call here. We're going off to a flop that comes 10-5-5 rainbow. With the action checking over to my opponent, he does not c-bet. Let me give you guys a little inside tip. When he doesn't c-bet, doesn't have a big hand. I can promise you that much. We're going off to a turn card, and I understand that I'm going to bet two, streets here. Unless it comes an ace or like a king maybe, I'll probably take the showdown value, but against an ace, I'm pretty confident I'm just going to check it back. The turn card comes the queen of clubs here, bringing a backdoor flush draw. I decide to lead out for $1,800, and the opponent decides to make the call. We're going off to a river card that comes a 3 of diamonds. Again, like we said, I'm not going to go away from the plan. I have a live read. I'm going to stick with it, and I'm going to go for gusto. I decided to bet $4,400 as a bluff, or chips, I should say. Of course, this is a bluff. I have king high, and it's hard to bluff people off hands. But with my gut and my live read, I really feel like this guy has ace high, and he's going to make a big fold, or at least consider it. After a bit of tanking, my opponent decides to make the fold. Great for us. Our live read has helped us out once again. Feeling great, and we're looking to really hone in on our senses here. We have a great read on the table, and things are definitely going in our favor. Get ready, folks, because this is the chat pro hand of the day. I'm really excited to see what you guys think about this one, as this is... I don't want to spoil it. We'll talk a little more at the end of the hand. Let's get right into it. Early position decides to make it 2.2k to go at the 1k big blind level. I find myself with right around 65k in my stack at the moment. I decide to make the call after looking down at pocket eights. The big blind calls as well. We're going off to a flop that comes 3 deuce deuce with 2 diamonds and a spade. The action checks over to me, and I actually decide to check this back. Sure, I should be betting here for equity denial sometimes, but betting and getting raised here from the blind or even the early position would be really crappy. I'd have to continue with, my range here, but I don't want to bloat the size of the pot. I'd rather continue playing in position, which is always favorable. I check it over, and we're going off to a turn card that comes the 4 of diamonds. That does bring the front door flush and add a straight out there. The action checked over to the initial raiser. He decides to bet 2,700. At this point, I'm just kind of trying to figure out what story he's trying to paint. I feel like most flush draws will be c-betting that flop. From early position, his suited hands would probably be like Queen Jack, Queen Jack of diamonds, Jack 10 of diamonds, 10 out of diamonds. That's pretty much as low as it's going to go from under the gun. Obviously, the ace high flushes will be available to him, but I feel like not c-betting would be a massive mistake. I decide to make the call, playing a little cautiously, blind folds, and we're going off to a river card that comes the ace of diamonds. At this point, my opponent decides to bet $4,600, and I go deep into the tank. I'm trying to put the pieces together in my mind, and I'd like to know right now, what would you guys do? Are you calling or are you folding? And if you do either or, tell me what hand you suspect our opponent to have. I'll give you guys 5 seconds to comment down below.
46.
As you guys have all put your answers in here, these are the things going through my mind. Specifically, the ace of diamonds is a weird card. It removes the combinations of traps that I guess he would have. It's hard to see him have like king queen off, king jack off, king 10 off with 1 diamond, like the king of diamonds, and raise from under the gun. So if we can eliminate that from his range here, what is he left with? It feels like he has to have 2 diamonds in his holding. If he doesn't have, like, it's okay to raise with ace jack or ace queen or ace king offsuit, obviously with the single diamond from early position. It's a little trickier with the king X's, right? All of this being said, I go deep into the tank, and all I'm thinking in my mind is, it's just hard for him to have value on this river, man. It's just so hard. I go deep into the tank and eventually decide on making the call. My opponent does the magical fold without showing, and we show our hand because, a lot of people worry about collusion. I show my hand. I'm proud of it. I made a sick call, and we get the pot pushed in our direction. I feel like I'm riding on cloud 9 at this point. One of the sickest hero calls I think I've ever made in my poker career. Feeling great, feeling good. Let's keep this train going. Heading over to dinner break now.
Okay, so dinner break is nearly over. We are chilling. Need to decompress. Since the last time you guys heard from me, I think I've lost like 60k since that point. We have around 40k now, which is good for like 25 big blinds or so. Not looking too good. There's like 2 hands that I didn't record. One of them was ace king versus ace 3 for somewhere around 50 or 60k pot. We both flop a pair, but he flops 2 pair. We'll lose a big one there. Otherwise, I made a pretty big bluff that I really liked, but didn't work out. Anyways, next thing that we have to worry about is just spinning it up. So let's work on that now. And yeah, I'd like to cash this tournament. That would be outstanding.
Well, things heading to that dinner break didn't work out in my favor. Usually what I do is I try to get 1 hand per level. And after that, I just kind of don't worry about recording. I want to play good poker. Things just didn't work out in our favor. And we are first hand back from dinner break, hopping right into the mix. The low jack makes it 3k at the 1500 big blind level. So that's the min click. We are in the button, and we look down at king 10 offsuit. We can jam here profitably with around 22 bigs that we have right now, or we can just call and play some flops in position, which is what I do. We're going off to a flop. Heads up, that comes queen jack 9 rainbow. Bang. Finally, after running so bad for the last 45 minutes to an hour, we find ourselves a beautiful spot to find a double. The opposition decides to c-bet here for $3,000, and I decide to raise him to 7k. There's no reason to slow play your hands here. This is going to be a board that definitely helps both of us, I think. Specifically him as the first raiser. He can definitely have all the 2 pairs. He can have all the top pairs. He can have all the combos, straight, plus straight draw plus pairs. So he pretty quickly makes a call, and we're hoping for a brick turn card, which comes just that, as it comes a deuce of clubs. With the action checked over to me, that does introduce a backdoor flush draw, and we're hoping he's picked up some extra equity or just really married to his hand, because I decide to jam all in here. We decide to make it 27.5k to go, just shy of above the size of the pot. We are, like I said, going for gusto here, looking for the double up. Our opponent thinks about it for a moment before saying, he wished that he didn't gain any more equity. When he says that, we're pretty comfortable saying that he has a pair now with the flush draw. He ends up making the call with king jack of clubs. We're looking to fade a club here, and we're holding a club. We're off to a river. That comes the ace of clubs. Oh, no. We played so well this whole tournament. Hadn't been playing any massive pots. Didn't get out of line very much. And we had an unbelievable seat in one of the best tables I've been in a while. All my live reads had been working for me. Even the deck had been really working with me, but as it goes, that was a massive pot that would have put me well over 80k. I'm a little gutted, a little disappointed, and just the World Series of Poker 2022 hasn't been treating me well.
The frustrating part of making poker content is the simple fact that when you play tournaments and you bust, there's no redemption factor. I can't buy back into the damn thing, especially these freeze outs, and especially when you run deep, there's no second chance. Our 2 bullets into the monster stack, or whatever the hell this thing was again, didn't go in our favor, as you guys saw, and that's okay, I guess. We played that's the other frustrating part with poker. I feel like I played really well for most of it, and just got kind of unlucky. I'm really satisfied with the way I played today for the most part. I think I can only really be upset about a couple of hands as it goes. I'm sorry I couldn't pull this one out for you guys. I promise you at some point I will win a bracelet for the team. It's on its way. It's coming. There's no way that Poker Vlog's not going to see our final table here at the WSOP at some point. Even if it's not this year, if it's just not in the cards, at some point it will be. Anyways, we were into today for 1500 out for 0 because it's, yeah. I made an incredible call with pocket eights there, and I was right. My live reads were really on point today. I was really good at that. I appreciate you guys always for watching the videos. I can't thank you enough. It was really nice hanging out with some new friends, and as well as meeting up with a ton of you guys. Again, if you guys see me at the World Series of Poker, don't be ashamed. Make sure to walk up, say hello. It's an honor and a pleasure to meet all you guys. Believe it or not, it's 9:33 p.m. and it's Saturday night, and it's time for me to get the hell home. I'm gonna drive straight to the real home, back to LA. I miss my family, and I miss my puppies, and I miss my lady. You know what I mean? So it's time for me to get home. I appreciate you guys always. Stay happy, stay healthy, and more importantly, when we go to the tables. This break from poker, this like 3 or 4 day break, is gonna be much needed. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, y'all. Deuces.